Here in California, with 37 million people, there's not much disagreement that government is failing. Even the head of the state Senate sees it.
The people are frustrated because our state government, its structure mostly, does not work. It doesn't work the way that people expect it to work.
And it may be about to get worse because revenues are $700 million below expectations. Under a new compromise budget that was already cut to the bone, additional cuts could be automatically triggered, further threatening state services. Schools are in bad shape and teachers are being laid off. Colleges and universities are feeling the squeeze. Prisons under court order to reduce the inmate population remain overcrowded. Health programs for the poor have been cut back. Fixing those problems should fall to the state legislature and the governor. But as in Washington, Sacramento is stuck in a pattern of increasingly partisan wrangling. Wrangling the public seems eager to see end. Sacramento Bee political columnist Dan Walters has been covering the state capitol for 40 years.
I think the evident dysfunction of the place and inability to balance the budget and so forth, and plus it also reflects just people's general unhappiness with the economy and their lives, I guess, in California these days, and there's always a tendency to blame those in political power when that happens.
The result, Walters says, is great cynicism about what happens at the state capitol.
Spend too much time bickering and too much time arguing. They don't get anything done.
Yeah, I think it's the same as on the national level. If you got two sides that are, trying to one-upmanship, then things don't get done.
Some, fed up with the political paralysis, are coming up with their own ways to solve problems. Paris-born Nicholas Begruin, a billionaire with family ties to California, has put up $20 million to fund a high-powered bipartisan reform panel called Think Long.
California almost reflects a little bit what's happening in Washington. You've got two sides that have a very difficult time agreeing on very much, and it's so partisan that at the end you almost wonder how are citizens served.
Begruin says his panel, which includes former Governor Gray Davis and former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, will propose far-reaching but as yet undisclosed reforms dealing with the budget, the tax system, education, and the initiative process. Begruin is not alone. Dan Schnur, one of our panelists, gets students to take up those issues in a class he teaches at USC. California Crack-Up, co-authored by another of our panelists, Mark Paul, offers prescriptions for the state's ills. This gathering in June near Los Angeles, By the People, What's Next California, organized by McNeil Lair Productions, brought 400 citizens together to figure out what's wrong with California and how to fix it.
It may not feel like it right now, but you can vote the bums out of office and you can vote them into office. The ultimate authority lies with the voters.
The group was asked to deliberate about several topics, including term limits that force politicians from office after a few years on the job.
To me, term limits says to the American electorate, you're not intelligent enough to pick your people. I don't like the fact, if I have a good representative in there, a guy that I think is honest and capable, I don't want to be told I can't vote for him again.
A full-time versus a part-time legislature.
I like part-time because I don't think they're really listening. The ones that are full-time now aren't really listening. I think they're doing part-time already.
Proposition 13, the California law that keeps property taxes low and other taxes hard to pass, a law that remains popular. And the requirement that 2/3 of legislators must approve any new taxes. Stanford professor Jim Fishkin polled the conference attendees.
There was also a concern for governability. There's a feeling that the 2/3 vote threshold for passing any new taxes was paralyzing action. So taxes are the hardest issue, but people were finding new ways of thinking about how to make the system work.
Another hot topic, California's initiative process, a form of direct democracy where citizens or special interests propose laws directly to the voters. Initiatives drew a lot of favorable comment.
I think the initiative process is important because I think that people need to have a say in what's going on.
What's gone wrong with the process that we're now at a point of saying, no, as we've got to create initiatives to finally go get a vote on this because our legislators are not voting on it or not bringing it up. What's gone wrong there?
Others argue it often promotes spending without raising revenues and is controlled by special interests. Nicholas Bergruen, who is dubious of the initiative process, ironically plans to finance his own ballot measure so Californians can vote on the reforms his group will propose.
So here the idea is to go beyond parties, beyond special interests, and try to come up with a compromise that really benefits all. And because of the initiative process, you can actually do something in California that you probably can't as easily in Washington.
But in the past, voters, despite their unhappiness with government, have quashed reform proposals. Still, citizens and politicians alike are under more pressure than ever to fix a broken state.